Okay, today we have Capitulum Septimum, Puella et Rosa, Pars Secunda, or in other words, Chapter 7, Part 2, and I've thrown a few amusing items in, one of which is sort of relevant to the lesson, and one that's totally random, but I thought it was funny, so in it went. So let's get started here. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. So anyway, the chapter 7 charts are basically the same as they were last time because I covered pretty much anything that we were going to see in chapter 7. As we get a little bit farther into the section 2, you'll see some of those sections appear. But what I wanted to do for the first section is something a little different. Facetious, okay, for which English gets the word facetious. Now, unfortunately, facetious these days generally has a negative connotation, meaning you're trying to be funny when you shouldn't be. But in Latin, it means a jest, a witticism, drollery, humor, etc. A whole bunch of different things like that. So without further ado, let's hit the first one. Now, we know, or we've seen the words malus, mala, and malum. Okay. And the fun thing about those, and there's actually a couple of other words that are like this, that can trip you up very easily. Okay. Hold on, let's admit everybody. There we go. Whoop, hold on. There we go. And yes, malus, mala, and malum, short A, means evil, wicked, injurious, mischievous, and hurtful, as well as just plain bad. Now, another way of saying it is it means both more, by the way, it's both morally and physically. So if we say malum, we can mean a spiritual evil, or we can mean something like a bad piece of fruit, or something that is spoiled. Okay. And that more or less works, in English. We have sort of the same parallel. You can have a bad person, meaning they are somebody that does evil deeds. Okay. And you can have lettuce go bad, in the sense that it is now unfit for human consumption. Now, malum is the noun that means anything that's bad, evil, calamity, misfortune, etc. So in the Pater Noster, we have been saying now for some time, sed libera nos a malo, which literally means libera, deliver us, nos, a malo, from evil, or it can mean deliver us from the evil one. There is an ambiguity there in the Latin. It can either be evil or the evil one. You'll sometimes, I think it's in the Catechism, they talk about this meaning the evil one is a better translation. Well, I debate about that because I talked to a Greek who he has a knowledge of the Old Testament Greek, and he says basically it can be either one. So I don't know why the Catechism tends to say it's the evil one, but I guess the idea is the Our Father there is to deliver us from moral evil, and if you just say evil, it could be any kind of evil, I guess, as including misfortune, and the evil one is pretty specific. So I don't know. Anyway, so that's pretty straightforward, right? Well, things aren't quite so simple. Since if we have malum notice the long A is an apple. Okay. So malum, short A, and malum, long A. One is evil and one is apple. In fact, you could say malum, which would be a bad apple. And don't focus so much on the fact that it is what we know today as an apple, that Johnny Appleseed went around planting. But it's really any tree fruit, fleshy on the outside, having a kernel within, as opposed to a nut. A nut, nooks, by the way, would be is a nut, like walnut, pecan, or something like that. So you see it applied to quinces, pomegranates, peaches, oranges, lemons, a whole bunch of.
Wait, peaches really? Because peaches have like a giant like seed,
In the
giant
in the
pit.
center. But a nut is not a pit. The fruit of the nut is inside the shell. Okay, it's not the same as a peach. Yes, the peach has a pit in there. Okay, but yes, peaches. And so when the reason we use the word apple today is if you go back to the Vulgate, which was used extensively in the West, they ate of the fruit, malum. Well, malum does mean apple, or the Johnny Seed type apple, or it can mean a generic piece of fruit. So anyway, so it may not have been an apple, but in art, invariably it's there. So, but if you look at the traditional location of the Garden of Eden, I don't think they had any apples. I think the apples require chill hours, and there's not too many chill hours by the Euphrates and what was the other river that came together there? Can't think of it. Anyway, now important thing.
Tigris River.
Yeah, thank you. So anyway, note the long E. Now this is going to be fun, but wait, there's more. Malus, long A. Feminine, though, even though it's a US ending, is an apple tree. So malum, long A, is an apple, which I already mentioned. So we have malus and we have malum, okay, with long A's. So that changes the meaning of the word. And if things weren't bad enough, there's a malus. Oh, by the way, note that this is feminine. Malus, which is masculine, is an upright mast, pole, or beam. By the way, you don't have to memorize these, okay? And then mala is also the cheekbone or the jaw. So from malus malum, meaning bad or evil, if we put a macron over the A, it changes the meaning. So what we have is malus malum, evil, bad, morally or physically. Malus, feminine, an apple tree. It's one of the few feminine US ending words. There's not many of them. Malus, masculine, same form, is an upright pole, beam, or mast, whatever. Malum, with the long A, is an apple. Mala, long A, feminine, is the cheekbone or the jaw. So there's plenty of malus and malum in this word and its cousins, believe me. Now, it's even worse. There's a verb, malo, malora, malui, male, which is third conjugation, which means to prefer or to choose over, to choose rather. We have, whoops, I left out a D, shame on me. We have not yet seen first and second forms, but malo would be I prefer. Malus means thou might prefer, okay? This is, subjunctive, wow. Subjunctive, subjunctive. We haven't had the subjunctive, but so don't worry about it yet. But it indicates not a fact, but a possibility. So anyway, prefer, malo, takes the accusative and the dative. So I prefer something in the accusative to something in the dative. Now that makes sense because in the dative, we use it as to. I gave the apple to Julio, to Julius. So that's actually not too hard to I think keep in mind. But some deranged mind came up, I'm sorry, I used the word demonically clever person, came up with the following. Certe, malus malum non est manium. Tamen ergo, malo mala, malo mala. Tu fortasse malus malum malum. Do we have any takers to now? If you've already seen the next slide, yeah, no fudging. But anybody want to translate that? Yeah. When I saw that, I saw this years ago, and my jaw.
I do understand the certe.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few words in there. Yeah. When I
And
first
something
saw
is
this,
is not very big.
yeah. Well, I saw this. Oh, I don't know how many years ago. Oh boy, I don't know. Must have been 10, 15 years ago, I think now. Let's say 15.
You know, the macrons really helped. I saw this without macrons.
Oh, well, yeah. There were no macrons when I got it, by the way. So I had to go. I've added the macrons to help you somewhat. Anyway, yeah, so this is not intended as an exercise. And yes, this is very difficult. I had to get out my dictionary and list all the various words that are of that form. And then I had to figure out what part of speech it was. And then I had to hammer it into sense. So yes, it will cause any Latin student's eyes to cross and run away screaming in terror. And if you are doing that right now, it's justifiable. But hang on, we'll see what it means actually. It literally means certe, assuredly, a bad apple tree, a malus mala. Notice the long A and the feminine adjective. Let's see, a bad apple tree is not a great evil, a malum manium. Okay, that part's not too bad. Tamen, however, or nevertheless, ego malo, that's the verb, I prefer, malo, bad apples. Okay. Whoops, sorry, I got it. Sorry, I'm out of order here. I prefer a bad apple tree. This is the malo, the bad apple tree, to bad apples. So nevertheless, I prefer bad apples to a bad apple tree. Tu fortasse, you perhaps prefer malus, a bad apple tree, malum in the accusative, to bad apples, malus, which is in dative. So now you have a Latin tongue twist. It's actually very hard to say this, by the way. It doesn't help. And let's see, Maria, you're on, right? Yeah, there we go. You had a wonderful, was it, I forget which language, but it was ba 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 ba. Sound like a Beach Boys song.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You want me to
Yeah, go
say
ahead.
it?
You remember what it says?
Yeah. So the context is a man was trying, or any person was trying to get into an elevator. So when the elevator opened, the man who was trying to get in the elevator said, "Baba Baba," and then the person inside the elevator said, "Baba Ba." So and then he got on the elevator with just one syllable.
Yeah, and that's because they're using the similar words in the language in order to construct the. I wonder if that's where the Beach Boys got the idea. Don't know. And which language was that again?
It's Filipino or Tagalog.
Tagalog.
So
Or
the man getting on was asking, "Is the elevator going down?" And then the man inside was saying, "Yes, it is going down."
Michael,
yes.
do you remember John McCain was trying to make a joke out of something that wasn't particularly funny about how he thought we should respond to some aggression on the part of the Iranian government. And so he thought he was being cute, and he replied, bomb, 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 Iran, bomb, bomb.
Oh, I
bomb,
remember that.
bomb,
Oh, wow. There was actually a viral video on that.
So he decided to take advantage of the Beach Boys.
Yeah. I'm sure he took flack for that, but there was a viral video on that that was rather funny. Well, I found it funny. I wasn't Iranian, but I can imagine there were others that didn't find it funny. So anyway, there it is. Just kind of, enjoy it for all of its horribleness.
Hopefully, you're not telling us that somewhere in this.
But by the way, there is no, this is not a homework exercise. There is nothing even remotely like it. Let me put it this way. There is a certain class of texts that are out there. In fact, we're going to come to the next one here in a minute, that are designed to really show off how smart somebody is and how good they are at Latin to even come up with it, but also as a puzzle for usually advanced Latin students. So anyway, for this one, depending on your point of view, either was somebody incredibly clever and humorous, or there was somebody out there who was truly evil and out to get Latin students. I'll let you leave it to your preference. Oh, now, unless you feel intimidated, let's go to Google Translate. Whoops. Let's try, this is rather funny. All right, let me go to Google Translate here. Come on. Open up in, all right, hold on. I want to open up in a new tab. Come on, open up in a new tab here. Oh, well, I'll just, there. You can still see that, right? All right, here we go. Whoops. Oh, Latvian? That's not quite. Let's go Latin. There we go. So anyway, here is Google Translate's attempt. Certainly evil, evil, evil is not great. However, well, I don't know why that is. Are you perhaps evil, evil, evil? Maybe the Macrons messed it up. So here.
I think they just couldn't translate it, so they just left it.
They just gave it up.
Yeah.
Let's take out the Macrons. All right, maybe it'll improve it. Oh, anyway, yeah, okay, never, yeah, see, evil, evil, evil. So it doesn't know what to do with it. So you can take some satisfaction that not even Google. And by the way, Google Translate for Latin it's gotten better over the years, but it's still pretty bad. All right, now for the next one. And I couldn't resist it because there is a word called pugna, which is it's a fight, a fist fight, man-to-man fight between individuals, armies, battle, combat, whatever. And then there's
now I think we have pig to pig.
Now we have porcus, which is, as you guessed it, a swine, a hog, a domestic pig. There is a book or work called the Pugna Porcorum, which means Battle of the Pigs, which hopefully you were able to deduce that now that I gave you those two items. And what is the Battle of the Pigs? Well, it's a rather impressive work. It was written by a gentleman by the name of Placentius in the middle of the 1500s. He was a Flemish Dominican friar. and he wrote it under the pseudonym Publius Porcius. Now, this is rather funny because Publius is a perfectly good first Roman name, and there's also the family of the Porcius, which is also was a Roman family. Now, he chose Porcius because it's very close to porcus. So he's got a little play on words there on what he's doing. It is 248 dactylic hexameters, every single word of them beginning with the letter P. Eat your heart out, Shakespeare. What it is, it's a satirical epic telling of the intergenerational conflict between the corrupt hogs who are hogging all the privileges and the piglets who want in on them. So basically, it's sort of class warfare piece. Now, it's satire, by the way. This is satire. So but anyway, the conflict eventually devolves into an open war between the pigs, and the poet is using pigs to allegorize human greed, corruption, conflict, and riots and revolutionary violence in a very simple and transparent way. Now, this makes sense. He was a Dominican after all, so there should be a moral purpose, right? If you're a Dominican friar. It started out as a satire of student life, believe it or not, between the lower classmen and the upperclassmen in Leuven. I think that's how that's pronounced. And it was originally meant for the local audience in Catholic Belgium, since Flemish is part of Belgium, or the Flemish-speaking peoples are largely in Belgium. It really caught on in Germany at the time, and note the period here, the 1500s. What do we know that's going on in Germany? Martin Luther. Now, what's kind of funny, and I don't want to get into it here, is in Germany, when they printed copies of it, they altered it slightly and used it as political diatribes of the various German heads of state. So there's a whole history behind that, but I don't want to get into that. Anyway, it was sort of rediscovered in the late 19th century by Latinists, and it became popular. And one has to wonder if George Orwell used it to base his Animal Farm on. There are a lot of parallels in this thing that are in George Orwell's Animal Farm. So he may or may not have known about it. He was certainly, he would have studied Latin. There's no question about it. So he may have known about it. Anyway, here is an example. And no, I do not want you to even try and translate this. Okay, this is murderous to translate. Okay, even for somebody who has a lot of skill in it. And I just mentioned it. There's an edition of The Pig War by Michael Fontaine. There's a link to where you can get a copy. Yes, I own a copy. If you have a burning desire to look at it and look at the history and a lot of the commentary about it and some of the funny things that happen, there it is. I forget how much it is. It's not terribly expensive. It's not a hugely big book, but it has always been a favorite of mine. And one of these days I will sit down and look up all of those P words and see. And when I'm all done, I'll probably double my vocabulary of P words in Latin. But anyway, you can see
I
how.
see one word, pericula. Is that related to the word danger?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then there's prelatorum for prelates, and pusillanimes for weak, pusillanimous. So there's, yeah.
What exactly does this mean again?
And potentius.
It's, I'm sorry, what, Adam?
Oh, I was just wondering, like, what's like a full direct translation of this? Like, what would that mean?
Oh, all right. I have the book here. I'm not even going to try a reading from sight, but let's see here. That's the prologue. Hold on, let me get it here. Porcos, no, this is postquam. Where's the postquam? Plaudite, plures, the pig war. Procul. I thought I took this from the first section. Hold on just a second. There's a prologue, and I have lost my place. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. This is part of the prologue. Since we're publicly regarded as pigs, my most illustrious patron, I thought it would be nice to write a poem portraying a war of the pigs, putting special emphasis on the perils faced by the fat bigwigs. The bulkiness of their fat makes sluggish fighters of the cowardly bigwigs, whereas the piglets, thanks to their slight advantage in height they enjoy, fight more nimbly. Accordingly, I hope you like reading the silly poem, The War Between the Hogs and the Piglets, which I have narrated in equal episodes. So that's what that means.
How would you translate the last word, peri pre postere? Now, pre means before, and I think peri means to perish, so to die before.
If you notice, it's
perish
not
before
in the dictionary, and that's because.
But then I don't know, because it's got two
Yes.
prefixes and postere. I don't know, somewhat, but postere means coming after. So I don't know how you can have something that comes both before and after.
Okay. The way to translate that is perish in reverse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's why this guy was so
fun.
perish before and after, perish in reverse.
Yeah.
So, and so this is other, well, this isn't too bad. Porcellioramque. So, he's taken advantage. Precor is to pray. Puerile, well, okay, you can know what that is. But anyway, yeah, the author has taken advantage of all sorts of little things. And quite frankly, he is, Placentius is looked upon as a real genius of Latin poems. I mean, there's what did I say, 248. So anyway, there it is. So let's get started with the more understandable Latin than that doozy. But I thought you might be amused by it. Hopefully everybody was amused by it. And no fear, I am not going to assign that as a translation homework exercise.
Unless we really make you mad.
No, I'll just do the malo mala. Because what's interesting is you can see that on the web, people asking about it, and all the sites that I saw, and I didn't do an in-depth examination, ended up getting it wrong. So anyway, all right, you wanted to go first, right? Let's see. Yeah, Michael is still there. So yeah. So let's do the first paragraph there. Here, let me zoom in so everybody can see it. It'll be easier. There we go.
Okay. Ecce Ullius ad William advent.
Venit.
Seri, pardon?
Venit.
Advenit. Advenit, yeah. Seri lecticam antem ostium poniet pater filius salutat salvate vili
Salvete.
filii
Filii. Yeah. Rolls off the tongue.
Sure it does. Filius salutor
Salvator.
salvulator salve pater.
Good.
Okay, what it means is, look, Julius is coming towards the villa.
Coming, yeah, sorry, yes, coming towards the villa.
Right, okay. And the
Advenit,
advenit and ad vilium.
Yeah.
Vilam, it's between the ad and the advent. That's where I'm getting a little kind of like, he's coming by and towards.
well, okay, venit, venio means to come.
Correct.
Okay. So when we sing the Veni Veni Emmanuel, which really ought to be Veni Veni Emmanuel, but hey, what can I say? Means come. That's the imperative form. Yeah. So come, O come Emmanuel. So advenit, and we can throw an advenio in here just to see how that works, is to come to a place, to reach, to arrive at. So there's not quite a perfect single word. If it was just venio, it would be come, and everything would be fine. That'd be easy, a nice single mapping.
Well, it's the double use of the word ad.
Well, yeah, I know. Let me finish. So advenio means to come to a place, right? So he is coming to a place, and that place is the villa.
Villa, right.
And you're right. The ad is done as a, shall we say, to underscore that. He is coming to a place which is the villa. He is coming to the villa. Now, you're right. We could have just said venit. We could have said ad vilem venit.
Correct.
And in English, we would have probably translated it the same way. Because we don't have okay, if this were past tense, or how about arrives? Let's translate it as arrives. I was struggling for a good synonym. So you could say, look, Julius arrives at the villa.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So okay.
And I think in the companion it said that they tend to like repeat that.
Yeah,
you have the add and add, or the X and X. And
yeah, they would sometimes double up the preposition before the verb and the noun in order to give added emphasis. Now, the other thing is Latin tends to be very what's the lyrical, melodical. It tends to flow. And so Latin will sometimes, when it's being spoken, they'll throw, or even written for that matter, they'll throw a little extra in there to smooth it out. Okay. I don't think English really has anything quite like that, or at least I can't think of anything. So, ecce Julius ad vilam advenit. Ad vilam advenit. There's a nice, okay. You have an ad and a v, and you have an ad and a vilam. Ad vilam advenit. It just flows off the tongue. Okay. So that's why it's there. You're right. You could have said venit, but
yeah. Well, see, I was trying to use both odds.
Both odds. Good luck.
Yeah, that's where I was. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No, you really can't in English. Okay, unless you want to make this sort like an arrive. As we saw back here, to come to a place, to reach, to arrive at. Okay.
That's just a quirk of the way they use Latin. Like, I think in Russia, two negatives is acceptable use to make a negative. Or
yeah, there are
like
a number of languages, and don't ask me, and Russian may be one, and maybe Adam knows because he's studied more of them. But yeah, there are some languages that demand a double negative, meaning I do not have no bananas. Well, in English, that means you have some bananas. But there are other languages, and I've forgotten which, to tell you the truth, because I've long since forgotten them. It might be French, now that I think about it, likes the double negatives. I think French likes double negatives, I seem to recall. But yes, there's a whole slew of them. But anyway, let's move on here.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah.
We actually discussed this last class. The author in the companion tells us that they're introducing a series of words which seem repetitious, and this ad vilum, ad venit is one.
Yeah.
But another is the words insunt, for example, in the same sentence with in. So on line 40 and 41, for example,
yeah,
that's an example of the same thing. And so what we have to recognize as students reading this is that the author is intentionally introducing this in this particular reading for a reason.
Yeah.
They want you to know that this is done. And in est and sakis is the same thing. Sachis, excuse me.
Yeah.
So we just have to recognize that there are certain words like in est and
August.
insunt and
yeah,
the odd and ad venit that they for whatever reason choose to include the preposition along with the word, which seems repetitious, but that's the way they do that.
Yeah, and it's definitely stylistic in Latin. Okay.
Yeah, and so what I was commenting to you, Michael, is that once we know what the author is trying to accomplish here, it makes it easier to do the translation.
Yep. And they do have some little sidebar notes, which may or may not be helpful.
Yeah.
Anyway, servi lecticam ante
ostium poniunt. It's the servants place the litter in front of the door.
Right.
And then pater filios salut, salvate salviti vili
et salvete
vili et filis salutator salve pater.
Yes.
In the vernacular, hi kids, hi pops. No.
Yeah, that's not literal, but accurate.
I know what it is. The father is giving praise to the children, or saying hi to
greetings, salutat,
greetings,
or saying hello, your choice.
And the sons are in turn greeting the father.
Right.
And then Ilius ambulant ad ostium quod austeraro.
Yeah, ostiario.
Austeraro. Yeah. God.
Pretend you're Italian.
That's what I did. Austeraro.
Very good.
Abitur dominus per ostium in villum intrat. Julius walks towards the door. This is where it gets a little tongue twisted.
This one's tricky.
By the slave who opens the door. Who opens the door?
Yeah, well, that's okay. That right idea, not quite the right literalness. Ostium we know is door, so he's walking to the door.
Correct.
Quad, now notice this is a neuter noun. Quad is a neuter noun. It's a neuter relative pronoun. And so you have the noun and then you have the relative pronoun. So we would say which or that, depending upon what makes good English sense. So
which is by the
so Julius is walking to the door, which is opened, apperitur, passive voice, op ostiario. Now an ostiario, oh, they have it over here.
Yeah,
it's ostium, which is door, and then the ostiarius servus qui ostium aperit et claudit. So we would call him the doorman, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a very literal. Yeah, if you remember our way back when we had the map of the villa, high-class Romans or wealthy Romans who lived in villas typically had a slave whose sole job was to man the front door. We sort of have that today with servants. They may be in charge of that particular area.
Is that called a butler?
Butler, I believe, is the right one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's right. So yeah, this is the same thing. Now, the unfortunately is when they say servus qui ostium apperit et claudit, he was probably chained to that room. Okay. Because he's right near the door. I mean, it's easy for a slave to hot foot it, out of there. Now, not everybody was not every, some masters were relatively, for the most part, benign. I mean, within limits.
Mhm.
Others were very, very strict, and you wouldn't want to go. You wouldn't want to be a slave for them. Let me put it that way. But it's very possibly he was chained at the door. I mean, if or many of the Ostiarius would be seen chained to the door because they guarded the door. That was the way in and out, and so they could also prevent slaves from escaping. Which, if they did escape, then the Ostiarius may be in hot water. So they had a vested interest in not in keeping the bad people out and the good people in, so to speak. All right, where were we? Okay, post. Oh, here we go.
Dominus,
Sorry.
Dominus per ostium in villa intrat.
Okay.
That's the master goes through the door and enters in the villa.
Right.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. Post eam veniunt Cirrus et Leandra. Did I do something wrong? Leander.
Post eum.
Oh, post eum. What did I say?
Short O.
Post eum. Veniunt Cirrus et Leander. Cui duos sacos portant.
Yep.
Oh boy. Hold on just a second. After him comes Sirius and Leander, who carry the two sacks.
Very good.
Okay. Ostiarius post eus ostium claudit. After them, the doorman closes the door.
Right.
Urus et duvus.
Ursus.
God, my tongue tonight.
Like the bear.
Ursus et.
Either you haven't had enough wine or you've had too much. I don't know.
No, I haven't had any. That's
that's your problem.
Yeah. Ursus et davus cum letica vacua descendunt. And that
discedunt.
Discedunt.
Yes.
Discedunt.
They didn't descend.
Right. Okay.
It's like the secret Batman cave where the floor opened up and the vehicle vanished.
Okay. Ursus, gosh, and Davis leave with the empty litter.
Yeah. Exactly. Good. No, but still, I realize that was not easy, but could you have done that back in, when did we start anyway?
Back in February.
Did we start in February? That's right. We started in February. So yeah, you see, you're getting there. And even when you didn't quite get the exact mapping, you still understood the meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, that's a plus. So,
okay.
All right. So who wants to go next? We'll do, let's see, how much we got here? Oh, we got quite a bit. So we'll go to here, I think. Yeah, we'll go to there.
I'll volunteer.
All right.
The boys see.
Oh, you got to read it in Latin first.
Oh, sorry. Tueri sacos plenos, quia servis portantur vident et interrogant, quid inest in saccis. Julius respondet in sacco quem Leander portat mala insud. Hic sacum pone Leander. Leander sacum ponit ante Iulium qui asperit eum.
Aperit,
Julius,
not asperit. That's a different verb, actually.
aperit, excuse me. Aperit eum. Julius videte pueri. Hic sacus plenus malorum est. Okay. The boys see the full sacks which are carried by the servants and ask, what's in the sacks?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, very good. Notice here, that's a fairly complicated sentence. You have
It
the
is, you
subject.
have to jump from pueri to vident.
Yeah, you have the subject. The verb is way over there.
Right.
You have the direct object there, and then you have a clause which refers back to the sack, and then you have the and then they ask. So it's we're long past the Britannia Insula Est. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay, Julius responds, in the sack which Leander carries are apples. Put the sack here, Leander.
And notice there is a macron over the A, so the sack is not filled with evil things.
Right. Okay, so put the sack here, Leander. So this is hic with
Hic, yeah.
macron. Yeah, it's hic with a macron on it instead of hic.
Yeah, and this, as I mentioned last time, there's hic, hac, hoc, which means this. And then there's hic, which is the adverbial form, meaning this as in this place, or really here is the easiest way to translate that. Yeah,
put the sack here, Leander.
Yeah.
Leander puts the sack in front of Julius, who opens it. Julius videte, excuse me. Look, boys, this sack is full of apples.
Right. And again, the macron, it's not filled with evils.
Okay.
So,
right.
And now if you are reading, say if you're reading this in probably, the 15th century, or maybe even the 17th century, there would not be any macrons. And so you would have to realize that he is talking about apples and not evils. And presumably, you'd be able to, and what these are, by the way, in English, we call them homonyms, words that sound the same, but mean something different. Well, that has something similar to that with the homonyms.
Well, context is everything.
Context is everything. Yes. All right. Who's next?
Guess I'll take it, but I'm still struggling with pronouns, so you might have to help me through some of them.
Okay.
All right. Iulius malum e sacco sumit et se vertit ad Marcum. Ecce malum tuum, Marce. Iulius Marco malum dat. Pater filio suo manum malum dat. Iam Marcus malum habet, neque quintus malum habet. Iulius quintum ad se vocat et ei malum dat. Iulius quinto, is it quinto or quinto?
Quinto.
Quinto, malum dat. Iam et Marcus et quintus mala habent. I had a question further up. The SACCIS, is it sacchis or sachis? I sent it was a text query.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
You're right. It is sachis. Oh, sorry, sachis.
Sachis. Okay.
Sachis. And I suspect that if I'm not being careful, I will say sachis, but it should be
the first C is pronounced.
Yeah, all letters are pronounced in Latin.
Okay.
That's like where's the like tuum, tuum, tuum. So yeah, everything is pronounced. And if everybody was saying sachis, I probably went right by me, for which I apologize.
Okay. So let's get back to translating. Okay, so Iulius malum e sacco sumit. It's a very okay. So Julius takes an apple out of the sack, and gives and turn. Okay, and then Julius turns towards Marcus. Said, "Here's an apple, dude."
Well,
This is
yeah,
your apple.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's behold your apple, Marche.
Yeah, hold on. He turns himself.
Right, he turns himself
Marcus.
towards Marcus.
We
Yes.
might say faces in English. It might be a little cleaner, but it literally means he turns himself towards
Okay.
Marcus.
Aeolus Marco malum dot. So Aeolus gives the apple to Marcos. Then Pater Filius sua malum dot. So this is where Pater is Julius. So Julius gives to his son a large apple.
Right, a big
Now,
apple.
now Marcos has an apple, but Quintus does not have an apple. So Julius Quintum ad se vocat. So Julius calls his other son Quintus, and then he gives him an apple. So Julius Quintum malum dot. Julius gives. So he's saying repeating himself. He's saying
Yeah, hold on.
he says he gave him again. Yeah.
Let me work on this one just a smidgen here, since
Okay.
you tiptoed by. You got the right translation. Julius calls Quintus to himself.
Okay.
Okay. So ad, okay, se is always referring back to the subject of the sentence, and that's Julius. So ad se is to himself or over to himself. Vocat is call.
Is say the only reflexive pronoun in Latin?
No.
Oh, fun.
More fun to be had later.
Yeah, okay. Hold on just a second. We'll let Teresa catch her breath here for a moment. And where did I put it? There they are. Whoops, did I give the other ones first? No. Okay. Yeah. These are the personal pronouns, okay? We have not had, we've only had third person. Well, let's see. We've only had these, okay? And technically these aren't personal pronouns, but they're a special category, and for all practical purposes, think of them as personal pronouns because functionally that's what they do. So we've only had is and ae or ee. Well, we've had the am, and we've had some of these other parts, but that's third person. These are first and second person. And what we're going to see, I think it's on the next chart, is reflexive pronouns. Okay. Let me see if I put a chart in here. Hold on here. Ah, yes. What you're going to see is, okay, a reflexive pronoun, let me get to the right place, refers back to the subject of the sentence. So the subject is the recipient of the action somehow. So Julia se vidit in speculo. Julia sees herself in the mirror. She doesn't see somebody else. She sees herself. Julius sibi malum dat. Julius gives to himself an apple. Yeah, it can refer back to the subject of a clause, but for now, let's pretend not. Okay. I don't want to, there's some complexities there that I don't want to get into now. And so what you see is,
so wouldn't we say in English, he takes an apple for himself?
yeah, no, dot. Julius gives to himself an apple.
Yeah, in English, we'd never say that, though. We'd say he takes an apple
All right.
for
Well,
himself.
Gives himself.
Julius gives himself an apple. We would say that.
Yeah.
Like, I gave myself a vacation. I put the to in there simply to indicate that it's an indirect object. Maybe that's a better way to write it. Or Julius, or I gave myself a pedicure. Or I gave myself an early birthday present. So we do say that. Now, we usually don't say the to in there. In English, it's understood. So, but I put the to in there to emphasize that that's the dative case, indirect object. Make sense?
Michael?
Yeah.
Just a quick point. The say, for the most part, in this story, refers to himself or herself.
Right.
But there is one place where it actually just refers to the third person in the accusative case.
Okay.
And
we'll get to it.
Okay. Well, we've already passed that line.
Oh, well, we'll get back to it. Let me finish this section and then you point it out to me. It may have slipped by me. But the important thing is to remember is reflexive pronouns are never used in the nominal. No, sorry, the nominative. And that's because they're not the subject. They're either the indirect object, the direct object, or whatever. And in English, if we were to say himself gave to himself an apple, you would say, have you had a few too many? What psychotropic substances are you on or something? So the himselves and the myselfs and the herselfs and the themselves are never in the nominative. They only exist in the accusative, the genitive, the dative, and the ablative. Okay. And except for the third person, they match the table of pronouns from before. So me, mei, mihi, me, tu, te, tui, tibi, te, etc. This table of personal pronouns is exactly the same. This part is exactly the same for the reflexive pronouns. And so let's see. Oh, that's personal pronouns. Sorry, here it is. Here they all are. These are the reflexive pronouns. Me, te, se, or se. Okay, either one is correct. What is interesting is the personal singular, se, sui, sibi, se, is exactly the same for plural, se, sui, sibi, se. So se can mean himself, herself, itself, or themselves, which is kind of interesting. But right now, you really need to only recognize the third person accusative forms. But if you're in, we were going to go back to the example there. And where did I miss that? You said there was a line number I missed. Alex?
Oh, I didn't know who you're talking to. No, I was referring to line 15.
Oh, wow. That's
if you go all the way back to line 15,
okay.
It's not reflexive.
Let me see here. Oh, dear me. All right, hold on. I need to go here, and I need to go to the first. Oops. Okay.
Hey.
P can see my password. Okay. All right. Oh, good grief. All right. Sometimes it gets confused. Now, part of the problem is I run very high security in my browser. And so that tends to defeat the evil cookies. Let's see, we're in 7, right?
Right, 7.
It was this one, and it was line, missed it by 1. Line 15.
Yeah, line 15. So, Julia serum post se in specula videt. So here it's Julia sees serum behind her in the mirror.
Yeah, but it refers to Julia.
Julia, right?
Yeah, but it's not herself, it's behind her.
Oh,
Behind her.
okay. It is still a reflexive pronoun. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, when I said most of those, let's see, where did I go here?
Well, it's not reflexive in the sense that it's not herself. It's her.
Okay. Well, herself. Okay. It's still reflexive. Okay.
Did she see Sarah behind herself?
Yes. Now we wouldn't necessarily say it that way in English. Okay.
but the text, the companion says otherwise.
Ah.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. I'll look at that for next time. I'm not sure I believe it. Because say is, yeah, if we drop in SE, we find, yeah, pronoun reflexive. Oh, that's for said. That's a different contraction. So I'll have to see what they say about that. Let's say I dispute that at the moment, but I need to read and see exactly what they say. So
It
yeah,
says it takes the place of a noun that refers back, third person subject in the sentence.
right. And that's reflexive. That's a reflexive pronoun.
Yeah.
So
And I'm saying
not
that's the companion says otherwise.
I will
No, I'm
have
looking at he was reading right out of the companion, Alex. I'm looking at it myself.
Looking
Mhm.
at
And then it gives you an example of Syria, serum, posia, say in speculo videt. I mean, it's right from Familia. They use the example.
okay. So you're saying that the companion does say it's a reflexive pronoun.
Yeah, it says the example it gives is just as he was just reading it. Iulius serum posse in speculo videt, which is line 15, equals Iulius serum post Iulium in speculo videt.
Okay.
So,
Do you know
so
what?
say is referring to Julia.
Yeah, okay, maybe it's reflexive, but it's not herself, it's her.
Oh yeah, that's certainly true. Yeah. Well, yeah, okay, English, you always have to, well, when you're going from Latin to English and you're actually doing a translation, you sometimes have to massage it a little bit to get it into good English. But yeah, you gotta, but yeah, it doesn't, usually it will translate as himself or herself or themselves, but not always. Because you're right, behind herself in the mirror, she sees Syria. You could still say that. It might be a little awkward, but you could still say it. You would just say behind her. So
In English, that would be the correct way.
it would be the preferable way. I think behind herself is not wrong. It's just kind of clumsy, if you know what I mean. It would be odd. Let me put it that way. All right, well, let's move on though. Okay. All right. So let's see now where, oh, I did it again. I missed it by one. And let's see here. Where
I think I had 1 or 2 lines left.
yeah, let's see here. Whoops, no, we were down here, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Let's see where we
we were
got.
talking about how he called. Yeah, he called Quintus to him.
Oh yeah, they called. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Okay,
You did
and then
that.
Iulius Quinto malum dot. So
Yeah.
here Julius gives an apple to Quintus. Jam et Marcus et Quintus mala habent. So now both of the boys have apples.
Yeah. Habent. Put the N in there.
I did.
If it was there, I didn't hear it.
Okay. Habent.
Yeah, well, okay, yes. All right. So let's see, what time is it? Oh yeah, we got more time here. Hopefully we'll get through this. So any other takers for the next section?
All I know is I lost you on Zoom. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I can
Crazy.
hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you guys too. I just can't. It says launch meeting. I'm sitting there going, what? I swear.
Well, Michael does work for NASA. Maybe he can help you figure it out.
Try leaving and coming back in. This is the,
That's what I tried doing. Exactly.
Oh, did you make, and you're back in and it's okay now?
Nope. I think I'm gonna have to go all the way out. Oh my God.
Yeah, you probably have to go all the way out. Quit the app, come back in. We'll wait for you.
Yeah. Go ahead and go. I mean, don't wait for me. I mean, it's
Oh, okay.
boing, I got it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
back.
the gods are with me. What can I
Ah.
say?
By the way, there is a prayer for connecting to the internet by Saint Isidore of Seville. I should probably drag that out sometime. Well, he has been there is no patron saint of the internet. Okay, patron saints of all sorts of other things.
It's Al Gore.
Oh, good one, Teresa.
Hey,
However, I don't think he quite qualifies as a saint. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that one.
and you also have to be Catholic. Actually, I forget exactly when it was. Who was the German prelate during World War II that resisted the Nazis? Was that Dietrich Bonhoeffer? Is that the guy
He
who
was he was one.
Anyway, I believe he ended up being killed by the Nazis or something like that. And I believe it was him. Anyway, the Lutherans approached the Pope. This would have been probably Pope John Paul II at the time, I think.
no. Well, go ahead.
No, not when he was
I
killed.
thought when he died.
Yeah, no. The Lutherans approached John Paul II many years later. There, I will clarify that.
There you go.
And asked them if the Pope could canonize him. And John Paul II, or whoever it was, said very diplomatically, he says, well, and the reason is because the Lutherans didn't have saints. They had no way of proclaiming somebody a saint. And John Paul II, well, said, okay, he's yours. You can do kind of what you want with your own religion. And indeed, he was a little more diplomatic. He said, Bonhoeffer was indeed somebody who bore constant Christian witness and would, be worthy of sainthood, but he was not one of ours, so he would fail that test. So there was no way that we could canonize him. So,
Michael, just a slight correction: the Lutherans, you're correct, don't proclaim saints, but they do have saints.
Yeah, they do honor certain, like the apostles, etc. Yeah, but I don't think they have a way of adding new saints to the roster. Right. So yeah, that's true. All right. Anyway, let's see who is going to do the Julius in Sacco eius Pira insunt.
I'll take the next one.
Okay, great. Oh, Connor, right?
Yes.
I wanted to mention to you, you came a little late, and also for Alex. If you happen to do, I think it was exercise 8 of chapter 6, where you were converting passive into active and active into passive. Everybody got a lot of those marked wrong by the computer, which were in fact right. And that's because the computer was super duper picky. So for example, in one of yours, you put Dominus with a capital D.
Oh no.
It rejected it. I've since gone back there and marked the ones that I've graded so far. I'm still way behind. I marked them correct. So you in fact did not miss all 12. I think you got like 10 of the 12, 9 of the 12 correct. I've forgotten now. I've since graded it, so if you look at it. So yeah, just be aware that when it's beyond the simple single word or single ending, it becomes very difficult to write a computer program that actually can accurately check it. In some cases, it was word order, perfectly fine, but the computer, they basically did exact string matching. And the other one is you missed some because you put a period on the end of the sentence.
Oh, no.
So yeah, if you ever have another that exercise and you look up there and it's 0 out of 12 and you go, oh my goodness, what did I do? Just submit it and I'll let you know which you really got right or wrong. And
I like it.
Yeah, every time I see that sort of exercise pop up, I just say, oh no, not another one. Actually, chapter 6, exercise 8, I think is the only one where you actually had to do that sort of sentence construction. So, all right, go ahead.
Okay.
And you were not the only one that had that problem, by the way.
Oh, nice. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Well, I just happen to have graded yours just before class, and I go,
Oh, I see. I see.
0 out of 12. Connor, what did you do? Oh, wait, that one's right. Oh no, he did make mistakes on that. Well, that one was right. No, that okay. So anyway, go ahead.
Gotcha. So, Marcus, quid inest in sacco siri? Julius says, in sacco eius pira insunt, aperi saccum sire, videte pueri, hic saccus plenus est pirorum. Julius duo pira e sacco sumit. Ecce pirum tuum marce, et tuum quinte. Pater filii suis pira dat. Filii qui jam non solo mala, sed etiam pira habent, laeti sunt. Servi autem neque mala, neque pira habent. So Marcus asks, what is in Cyrus's sack?
Mhm.
And then Julius replies, in his sack there are pears. Open the sack, Cyrus. Look, boys, this sack is full of pears. Julius takes 2 pears out of the sack. Here is your pear, Marcus, and yours, Quintus. Dad gives his sons. The father gives his sons pears.
Right.
A pear. Oh yeah, is that actually that's one of my questions. Is that pira? Is that not plural?
That is plural. Well, okay. He gave 1 pair to each son.
Okay, yeah.
For a total of 2 pairs.
Right.
Yeah, but filius is plural, so it can be he gave the pairs to his sons.
Yes, you're right. He gave yes. It in some sense it is actually ambiguous.
Mhm.
We know it's 2 because from the previous sentence. But you're right. If he had given each of them 6 pairs, then
it's singular because each son gets 1 pair.
Well, no, it's plural. Pirum is 1 pair. Pira
Of
pairs.
course.
Okay. So he gave in this sentence, unspecified number of pairs to his sons. And not only that, we don't know if he gave them the same number, we gave them each the same, we know what he gave 1 to each by virtue of the context of the text around it. But yes, the father gave his son pairs, or sorry, gives. We're not doing past tense. Yes, the father gives his son the pairs.
Okay. The sons who now do not only have apples, but also have pears are happy.
Very good.
The slaves, however, have neither apples nor pears.
Hmm.
Yep.
And I do have a question. So latus when you listen to it with the audio, the AE is a very strong A sound, like latus, laity, but shouldn't it be leti or letus?
No, okay, an AE is always a long E. So plenus, see that long E right there? Plenus, that long E is the same sound as the AE in classical Latin.
Okay.
And in fact, in medieval documents, it was quite often to see LETI because it was the same sound and it was 1 less letter. And if you're writing, the Vulgate out with a quill pen, any way to save ink or time. So no, it is leti or letus. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I'll do the last one here since that's short. Actually, has everybody had a chance? All right, I'll do the last one. We're coming up on time anyway. Quintus, etiam servus da mala et pire pater. Julius serum et Leandrum servus ad se vocat et iis mala et pire dat. Dominus servis mala et pire dat. So Quintus is saying etiam is kind of an all-purpose word here. You might translate that as and, a couple different ways. Anyway, give apples and pears to the servant's father, Julius calls Serum et Leander to himself, okay, or to come to him. You can do that either way, and gives to them apples and pears. The master gives the servants apples and pears.
Would
It-
that have been a very common transaction between the master and the slaves, or would that have been unusual, or
No,
just
not really.
depending on the?
No, the household slaves were generally, again, you're talking, well, I mean, even in the South, let's take the South, where slavery was pretty abominable for the most part. If you were a household slave, you were generally treated pretty well. Okay. I mean,
Part
you're
of the family,
still a slave.
yeah.
You're still a slave, but you were generally treated pretty well. For one thing, it was not in a master's best interest to treat a household slave poorly, because he's living in the same house. Yeah. So anyway, so no, that would not be necessarily unusual. Now we do have, if you read some of the various what's the word when it's historical, I guess it's a historical fiction. It's fiction in the sense that the author filled in all sorts of details. I don't know if anyone's what's her name? Is it Eileen McCullough, Jen, that wrote the
Yeah, the Masters of Rome series.
Masters of Rome series? It's something worth reading when you get a chance. She researched it very well, and it covers from the time just before the rise of Julius Caesar. So there's Gaius Marius and Sulla, and that sets up some of the players later on that you may be more familiar with, such as Julius Caesar and Cicero and all the others. It is not PG related.
Yeah, just be aware
It's
especially the first book, in order to explain the characters of the various people. It's very colorful. The
Colorful.
later books are somewhat less so.
Somewhat less, except Caesar's Women. That's pretty colorful.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, it's still a good read for mature audiences only, shall we say? Because she did a lot of research, and she
did 10 years of research before she even wrote the first book.
Yes, so she read the existing documents, the histories of the time, etc. So it's pretty well done. And she does mention in the back of the book where she totally made things up in order for the story to fit. So it's, as I said, it's worth a read for mature audience.
There's also a lot of novels and collections of short stories that give you a flavor for and some children's books. One of my favorites the Detectives in Togas, and it's about, and there's a second one with the title I forget. They were written in the 50s, and they're stories of children living in the Roman Republic.
Yeah.
And they're well worth reading.
Yeah, they're pretty, yes, they're quite amusing. So there's a whole there's actually, okay, now that I think about it, there's a series by who's the Marcus Falco series by? Darn. And she did the Alba series. What's her name? That one is pretty PG related. I mean, there's nothing too terribly scandalous in it. There's a few places, but it's a little more tamer.
Lindsay Davis. My favorite were the SPQR series.
Yes, that's true. The SPQR series was also an excellent series. There's about 13 of them. Yeah, that's very much worth reading. So if you're into the historical period at the time, it has nothing to do with Christianity, because we're all talking either 1st century BC or 1st century AD. And so it's very much the politics of the time. So anyway.
Yeah, I think the First Man in Rome series starts with Julius Caesar's grandfather. So
Grandfather,
we're
yeah.
talking about like 75 or 80 BC.
I think it might even be 100 something, but somewhere. in there.
Yeah, it could be.
Don't quote me on that. So
Hey, Michael, I got a question.
sure.
You say Quint,
Hold on. Francis is asking which author of which one, Francis? The Man in Rome series is McCullough.
Colleen McCullough.
Colleen McCullough. The
The same one who
SPQR.
wrote, I don't know, The Thorn Birds and a bunch of other
Yeah.
books.
The
They're very well done.
Yeah, the SPQR series. Just go to well, you have an iPhone, open Apple Books and type in SPQR, and there's a series of 13 books. Those are detective stories, by the way. So, but it explains a lot of the
Those are by John something Maddox. John
it's
Maddox Roberts. That's it.
That's it. John Robert Maddox is in the SPQR. The Falco series is Lindsay Davis, who then did also the Alba series, which is very enjoyable. Again, it's detective stories. Think of it as Columbo in Rome from the 1st century. Well, actually, late 1st century in the case of Falco, because Nero has already come and gone in the Falco series. Anyway, I'm sorry, Michael. I think it was you. You were going to ask something.
yeah, Mala and Para. My question is, what case is it, and what is it? Is it singular or plurals? Are they plural?
Where here? No, wait.
Servus da Malia et Para pater.
Okay.
You know, just telling his father to give him a pear and an apple.
All right, hold on.
Apples and you said apples and pears, and I'm sitting there going, well, is it an apple and a pear? Are they singular? Is mala?
Oh, okay. Da mala et pera pater. Is
Mhm.
this the line? Give to the servants apples and pears, father.
How do we know it's plural?
Because one apple is malum and 2 pears is pirum. See? Pirum.
Michael, maybe the confusion is that these are neuter nouns and contrast with masculine nouns. And so the masculine doesn't have the A ending in the accusative or the plural, but the neuter does.
Right.
So that's where it's confusing, because we have a lot fewer neuter nouns in these stories than we do masculine nouns.
Yeah.
So these are accusative plural.
Yes.
They're accusative plural.
Yeah. If you go back to the chart.
Yeah, the primo et the segunda.
Where did I put it? Here it is.
That's the one I was looking at when I was trying to do the translation.
The plural neuter end in A. So it would be malum, nominative, mala in the plural, and then mala in the plural accusative. One of the things that's interesting of the neuter nouns, and this is true no matter what the ending is, we'll get a bunch of we'll get to later declensions. But the nominative and the accusative for the neuter nouns are always the same in the singular and the plural. Okay, that's not true of the masculine and feminine nouns. Feminine noun has an AS and OS, but the feminine singular is A versus AS. Oh, well, AM, and AS, and US, OS. And these are the same, but this is UM, and A. So the nominative and accusative endings in both singular and plural are always the same for a neuter noun.
For the neuters.
For the neuters, yeah. I guess they've been neutered, so they lack a little something. I don't know.
Well, the guards that took care of the harem.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And Michael, one of the confusing things about this is the accusative for the first declension nouns ends in as,
Yes.
and so the accusative for second declension neuter nouns ends in a. So it seems like it's strange that you have some that have the as in the plural for the accusative, and others that just have the a.
Yeah. Is
That
that what's
one
tripping
is-
you up, Michael?
Yes, well, that's, I'm glad Alex said that, because that's where I'm
Okay.
not seeing that where they switch from one declension to another declension.
Well, no, they're sticking in the same declension, purum and pura. Okay. One apple, unum purum, one apple.
Mhm.
Duo pura, two apples.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same declension. It's just
No,
changed.
but I think what he's referring to, Michael, is, for example, rosas, ROSAS.
Oh, I see.
That's the plural.
Yeah, because
The
it's feminine.
accusative- Yeah, that's the accusative plural
Okay.
for feminine. So you have rosas for the feminine first declension noun and the accusative plural.
Right.
But here you've got hira and mala with an A ending and not the AS ending that exists for rosas.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's because it's a neuter, it's the second declension neuter noun.
See, that's why where he says that's a second declension. How do you, that's where I'm getting the.
Well, okay, it's pretty easy. It's a ending, purum.
Yeah, right.
So you come up to here.
Is masculine. I got that.
No, purum is neuter. It's a ending.
Oh, it can also. Well, okay, you're right. You're right. In the
Well,
nominative.
okay, all right. Yes, you're right. If it were an accusative form,
Right.
would
And I thought that's what we were talking about.
but we're talking about. See, here's the nominative form, purum,
Mm-hmm.
and somewhat here, and here's the nominative form, malum.
Mm-hmm.
So the nominative form, you look at the ending and you see it's a
Mm-hmm.
and this is a and you say, oh, those are both neuter nouns because of the nominative forms.
Correct.
Okay. And so once you know that, then you can go down the second declension. You're right. If I just plucked a word out of the air,
Mm-hmm.
pura, well, you already know what that is, but if I just plucked it out of the air, let me pluck a word out of the air here. Ecclesia. Well, if you haven't seen that word before, it could be one of several different things. Okay. If I told you it was nominative, nominativus, then you would know, oh, it ends in a, so it must be and singular. Then you would know that it would belong to the first declension.
The feminine, right?
Yeah. But you're right. If you just have it in isolation, then you need to head to your dictionary. In fact,
I wish you would go through I hate to backtrack, but if you can go again and explain with the dictionary, like Scriba.
Oh, sure. Let me show you.
The word and what, so I can figure out what the root and then what the declension is.
Now, okay, let's do pura. Pura, okay. Now, the fact, can you see this, pura?
Yeah.
All right, the fact that none of these appear over here is I found a form that is not in the base dictionary, but rather it's an inflective form. So I'll just hit enter, and we see that it is purum, neuter.
And then I in the end, what again?
I is the genitive form. Okay, this is something I never explained, I admit.
No, and that's
Let's go. Well, yeah, I'll do dictionary. I'll do some dictionary stuff next time because now's a good time to start doing it. I avoided dictionaries in the beginning because I didn't want to kind of overload everything. But you see
Well,
here,
well, I thought that was what's supposed to be the hot tip by you can look at the dictionary word and it's going to give you the root.
oh
and
yeah, eventually. Yeah, eventually. But you needed, okay, the dictionary gives you the nominative form and it gives you the genitive. Okay. So between the nominative and the genitive form, you know everything you need to know about the noun.
And isn't it the genitive that's more definitive, that tells you what?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, for example, if they gave you the nominative form and the accusative form, you wouldn't necessarily know. Well, it's the genitive form they usually give. I mean, some of the other forms, we don't have all the declensions in here yet. So when that fills out some, it'll make a little more sense. So
Okay.
for now, what that I, comma, N means is it's pirum, so it's neuter. The genitive is I, so piri, and it is neuter. So you know that you are on this line of the table. Now, you can also come over here and go to analysis, and you see that if you type in pira, well, it could be nominative plural, vocative plural, or accusative plural. Okay, because if you go over to the table, nominative plural, accusative plural, or vocative plural. As it stands, you don't know now. Now, I'll give you a secret. Go back to this, pirum, and either copy it or paste it in. Oh, okay, I guess you can't. Oh, it doesn't like macrons. Shocking. All right, hold on. I'll type it in. P-I-R-U-M. Okay. Whoops. P-I-R-U-M. There we go. Now, when it appears over here, it means it's a diction. It's in the dictionary as is. And there you can see the entire set of endings.
Ah, okay.
See? They give it slightly different. They have nominative, vocative, accusative, genitive, dative, and ablative. So
I know they do it out of order.
well, I wouldn't say there's no standard order. Okay.
Well, they say they have an English order or an American order.
Well, yeah, there's different dictionaries, different. For example, our book likes nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, ablative, and then vocative. They're going to list it.
I'll put it this way. I know enough just where I'm getting confused.
So yeah, you can look up individual nouns and there it is. Okay.
Okay.
You have another favorite, and you can look up verbs. Now, a verb is, let's see. Bet has, whoops, the B. Okay. There they give the first person singular present. Okay. And you can go over to analysis and you see that it's indicative present, third person singular active.
But you said it was first person.
Well, this is habeo. The habeo, they put the habeo in there. Okay. In the dictionary itself, the dictionary entry is the first person singular for verbs. Okay. Habet is third person singular. Okay, so it will figure out that it's that, but in fact, in the dictionary, they're always listed as first person singular.
It's
so
too bad they don't give a break. It's too bad they don't give a breakdown of habet.
Oh, they do.
First,
yeah. Okay. Here, H-A-B-E-T. Let's go back. Okay. Here's the verb, and there's the analysis of what it is. But as I said, go back and actually type in the dictionary entry, and then you can see the entire conjugation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. See, I didn't want to give you the entire conjugation or you'd probably run screaming in terror.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I've got a rope in the garage, so. Okay.
So
All right.
right now we are, let me go all the way back up. See, right now we are sticking with third persons present, singular and plural, habet et habent. Now, as bad as this may seem, I mean, there's a lot there. I don't misunderstand me, but you will find that the conjugations, okay, just like we have declensions that have similar groups, the conjugations have similar groups. So once you know that habeo is second conjugation, you then know, and you have these four parts, well, three parts. You can conjugate all the forms of the verbs, okay, from just these three parts. It's not, you'll find that all first person singular present tense verbs end in O. Habeo, I have. Amo, I love. Vaco, I call. I mean, we will put together. I have a PDF of where I have all of these together, and you can see the patterns, and it will make more sense over time. The future is often, okay, so you see eo, es, et, emus, itis, ent. Well, the future is ebo, abis, abit, abimus. You see there's a B in there for the future. Then for the imperfect, it's a bam, bas, bat, bamus, batus, bant. So again, the endings, in fact, if you memorize, there's a little phrase when we start doing the other persons, it's called, let's see, what do I call it? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Osmusticent. Osmusticent. Those have all the endings of most of the verbs that you need to know. What's a little bit tricky is some of the stuff that goes in front of it. So but it's as I said, it's not quite so bad. So yeah, once you've got the word, type it in the dictionary entry, okay, the way it appears there, and it would be nice if you could click on it and it would show you. Well, yeah, it'd be nice if you clicked on it and it would automatically enter that, but it doesn't. The other thing, by the way, I would mention is there is also a grammar in Scriba. So you have declensions of nouns. Okay, there's first declension. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, well, I don't know why they give second declension. There we go. This looks familiar. I don't know why they give the Greek nouns in there. So the Scriba has other stuff in the bottom, which you may not have ever looked at. And then documents. So let's, let's pick St. Jerome. We'll do a psalm. How about Psalm number 1? Beatus vir qui non habit in concilio impiorum. Now, most of those you haven't had yet, but you can click on Beatus, and there's the dictionary entry. And you can go to the Lewis. Let's see. I thought you can go to the Lewis in short. Well, maybe not. Oh, there we go. Vir. Yeah, virum. And it will have the whole entry right there. So anyway, let's finish up. Oh, yeah, I need to move on too. So I'll stay around for just a minute or two. So let us finish up. Okay, mute everybody. Yes. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum. Adveniat regnum tuum. Fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen. So